Hello everybody and welcome back to Vintage Thursday. So we have had a little break in Vintage Thursday videos. Not intentionally, it's just things have got in the way. I've been busy. Anyway, the last video we did, probably a month or more ago now, we made a clutch aligning tool for a Ferguson tractor. And in the background of that video, you did see the TEF is in the shed. And I can't remember if I said or not, but I said that it would be featuring in the next video. I can't remember if I said the subject of the video, but you will notice the fuel tank is missing and a lot of the fuel system is missing. The subject of the next video was going to be cleaning the fuel system and changing the filters and just generally bleeding it through. Just because it was one of those things that needed doing. It seemed obvious to me that while the tank was off, it was time to check our valve clearances. Okay, under the rocker cover, you know, because you just can't do it when the tank is there. So it seemed the sensible thing to do to make a video of setting the tappets, because we did do way back in probably late winter 2024 winter, we did a setting the tappets video on a 35X, which is quite complicated, much more involved than it is setting these. Because it's a 3-cylinder, the 4-cylinder is easy to set, but if you don't know, obviously you don't know. So this is going to be, so the tappet video is going to be one of those that sits there like a reference video for the future, and hopefully it helps people out. So I got to the halfway point on the fuel system. Everything is ready for cleaning. I've not cleaned it yet because we've come up on an obstacle, but I will explain. So part of the system, or part of the procedure for setting the tappets, you need to use the starting handle. Okay, so they did provide a TEF starting handle, although I'm willing to say I would never be able to start a diesel on a handle, and I don't know that anybody would. But anyway, they did provide you with one, and setting the tappets is one of the times when you need one. Okay, so I took the starting handle, just put it in, ready to engage in the dog. Okay, so there is like an engagement dog on the end of the handle, and that engages into its opposite number. Get it through the pins. Okay, so that's sliding through the front axle pin now, and that needs to engage, if you can see, hopefully, if I get a bit of light. So you can see the end of the handle turning there, and that should be engaging into this here, which is the front crank pulley. Okay, the crankshaft pulley, and it needs to engage in there, and then it will turn the engine as you turn the handle. Okay, so you can see the handle turning there, but you also might see, you might not, it's not the easiest thing to film. Okay, so it is a bit dark in there, but I'll film as best I can. The handle, you can see turning, is supposed to engage into the front, into the crank pulley. But what you probably can't see on the video, but what is happening, it is not lining up. Okay, so there is a lump on the end of the handle that should slot into the pulley, and then the drive dogs kind of engage. Okay, but we are a good 1/4 of an inch too high. Okay, so it won't engage. So that means we cannot set our tappets nice and easily, and it also means something has got out of line. We have a fairly major problem, just because it's not running square and true as it should. It's very difficult to explain, very difficult to see with all the radiator and everything in the way. Basically what's happening, this handle should be running parallel to the ground and back and engaging in the crank pulley. What it's actually doing, it's tipping up like that. So what that means, we have wear on the pivot pin on the axle which this starting handle passes through. Now that's not unusual, you know, it is a wearing item, and I don't know any history of this tractor, but I'm pretty sure at some point in its past it has been a loader tractor. Okay, so if we look at, there is some big angle iron brackets here. Now I believe, I'm pretty sure these are brackets off of a mill front end loader. Okay, so the brackets, there's big triangle brackets that pick up on these bolts. They come up kind of here is where the boom pivots, and then they go down to underneath the mudguard mounting bolts, okay, and pick up on those bolts, and then the rams run along here horizontally, and then the loader boom, obviously the loader boom comes out the front. I'm fairly confident that's what they are. So this has been a loader tractor at some point in the past, so having wear on the axle is no surprise at all. Now I know before I got this tractor the kingpin bushes have been done, and we did, if you remember back in the summer, we did do a video where we changed the oil seals in the hubs. Okay, so the front axle has so we changed the seals, but the bearings in the front hubs were good. I don't think they were original. I think they've been changed in the recent past. Okay, so the front axle has had some work, but the pivot pin still hasn't been done. But when I got the tractor a little over 2 years ago now, it did come with a new front axle pin and bush. Okay, so we've got the parts to fix it. So it's not, well, I'm tempted to say it's not going to be the biggest job in the world to change that pin, but I have done a little bit of investigating. Why is that pin tipping up at the back? As far as I can see, the bush looks okay. It is only a very thin, walled bush. Okay, so there isn't a lot there to wear, but as far as I can see, that doesn't look too bad. Until the pin's out, I can't tell the condition of the pin, but what I can do is I can feel in there. So the pin is passing through this axle carrier here, and I can feel, and I think I can see, there is wear on the back hole in this axle carrier. Okay, so that's quite a, it's not something that's going to be rectified by changing the pin. I believe, if you can see in there again in the dark, the wear is in this bit here. Okay, wear in the actual housing, in the actual axle carrier, not in the pin. So what we need to do, strip the radiator off, get all the front axle apart, take it apart, get this axle carrier off, and find our problem. So as you can see, we are now ready for the strip down. So radiator is out. I have slackened all the bolts, so I know everything's going to come undone nice and easy, just to save time in the video. So starting handle goes through this support bracket at the front, in through the pivot pin, and hopefully you can see there the point, or the end of the starting handle is too high to engage it with the starting dog. Okay, so it just doesn't catch. What we'll do now, we'll get everything took apart, strip it down, get the carrier off of the engine. I think getting the pin out of this carrier is going to be our tricky bit. Okay, so let's strip everything down. Hopefully it'll come apart, but we're going to wait and see. So there's all the easy bits off. What we've got to do now, somehow get this pin out. So the stud has come out. Oh, we're not seized. Might not be as bad as I was fearing. Turning quite nicely, but there is a lot of paint around it. So somehow it's all got to come forwards. Right, so as you can see, we have admitted defeat on the pin with trying to get it out without hammering it from behind. So what we've done, we just taken the whole cradle off. Now we can get a decent purchase on the back of the pin, hammer it right through. There doesn't appear at the moment to be much wear on the pin, which is a good sign. The wear is in here, which it doesn't look as bad as it did originally, but it still needs fixing. So right, we'll tap the pin out and see what actually how bad our problem is. Yeah, we definitely wouldn't have done this without taking it off. It's tight up in here, that's the problem. But we're getting there. There's our pin coming through. There's some definite ridges on there. Could be rust, could be paint. Right. So the bush in the axle, it's pretty rusty. It doesn't look worn, but we'll assess that another time. This, oh, there we go. Almost. Success. Right, so we were up on the bench, a bit more comfortable height. So here is our problem. So you're looking at it from engine side. This is the hole that is worn. The camera might not show it, but it is quite ovally, top to bottom, and also on the pin there's quite a deep ridge of wear here, and it's also worn here where it's been moved. So that's supported in the front there. I don't believe the front is worn. I haven't measured it properly yet, but I don't believe the front is worn. I think it's worn that pin because this back has been allowed to wiggle around. So you can see the amount of movement and hear the amount of movement. Now that is made worse by the ridge of wear on there. If we try the new pin in there, it's still very sloppy, but the front end is nice and tight. Fine. Slide the new one in. You can see the seriousness of the problem. Okay, so that is what we have to fix. Yeah, there's definitely no wear in the front. It's all back here. It's been allowed to tip and twist. So I think what we need to do, get everything cleaned up for a start. We can't do anything with it in this state. So there we go. That is quite badly worn. So I think we're going to end this video here. We've got it stripped down. We found the problem, confirmed what our fears were. It is this back hole worn, and oh, I just feel that even the hole is not worn evenly. There's more wear at the front than at the back, so even more to sort. So there we go. Right, going to end this video here. We're going to come back in a future episode, assess what's wrong with this, come up with a plan, and see if we can fix it. So subscribe, come back in the future. So hopefully it won't be too long, but we are now, the TEF is in this far apart. You can tell how dirty oil it is in here. The front crank seal is leaking, so we're going to change the front crank seal while it's all apart. While we're in there, probably put a new timing chain on, new fan belt, because this has got oil on it now. So that's going to get a little bit of work on the front of the engine. And while we're this far apart, you will notice the axle stand is way back on the gearbox. We're actually going to pull the engine off. There is a leak, a very small leak coming out from underneath the clutch housing. Now whether it's the rear crank seal or the gearbox input shaft seal, I don't know yet. But we're going to have the engine out, do everything in there. We'll check the bushes on the pedal bushes, see if they're worn. Check the clutch. I don't expect to put a new plate in it, but I will put new bearings, new seals. Yeah, just give the clutch a good going over while we're this close. It is not much more work now to pull the engine off. Just do it while we're this far into it. So right, that is all coming up in the future. So whether we're going to repair this next or get into the engine next, I haven't decided. We'll just see what video comes up next. But there we go. Right, so I will say thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and see more of the TEF. Now it's in. I wasn't really planning on this being a winter project, but it's kind of turned into one. So let's get it all done while it's in here, while we're warm next to the fire. That's the most important tool in the workshop, the heating source. So there we go. Right, I will say thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.